Now let's take a look at how specific age groups are represented in primetime media. I'm going to let you look at this for a few seconds just to wrap your head around it, and then we'll talk about it together. All right, so you'll see that it's broken down into a male category, a female category, and then overall US population. And you might notice that the only consistent, well, none of them are males or nor females are accurately represented in terms of the US population as seen on TV, right? Um, Besides middle-aged females, that's pretty even. You might notice too that the big orange, whoops, I accidentally ended that share. Hang on. The big orange bar and the females, that's overrepresentation of young adult women comparatively to the overall US population. And there's a reason for that that we'll get into in a moment. Well, a few reasons for that, really. If you're interested in why and you want to explore this more, I really highly suggest watching the documentary This Changes Everything. Just a little side note. You'll also see that younger adult males are overrepresented too. So that's interesting that younger adults are portrayed more in terms of who the audience is and what society places value on. And then you see older adults pretty severely underrepresented both in male and female, the male and female category. Children also, again, you're thinking about, or I want you to think about who's making media and who their audience is, which is everybody, but who they are making media for, right? And what they value. So this is a critical thinking exercise. Let's talk a little bit more in depth about it. There's some problems, obviously. I mean, if we see only younger adults on television and portrayed in certain ways, then that's a good indicator of what is culturally valuable, right? So, and that's not a good thing necessarily because it's not leaving room for complex identities, etc. So some problems that might be associated with stereotypes in the media. A big one is limited first-hand experience. So evidence, it states that most people who make media, most directors, producers, writers, even most of the people who are making media are homogenous in nature, yet they are portraying a lot of different experiences that they have never experienced. So mostly white, mostly male are the people who are making media. It's gotten a little better over time, but it's still by and large way male dominated and way white dominated in the media industry. I used the example in one of my previous videos about it was the Night Country, the True Detective Night Country, and it's depicting this whole community of people, right? And this region of the world. And without being part of that community, there's no way that someone can accurately reflect that community's experience. So that's a problem, right? I could talk about this for a long time, but I'm going to keep moving on. So there's also distorted and prejudiced portrayals in media. We see this a lot with older adults, especially where stereotypes are heavily relied on. We see it a lot in terms of racial disparities too. So, for example, if you think about the movies that you've seen with older adults in them, I do want you to think about that for a moment. Older adults, what movies have you seen? Okay, there's one literally called Grumpy Old Men, which is relying on a negative stereotype about older adults being curmudgeons, basically. So, if you thought of one, I want you to think about what stereotypes, older adult stereotypes, were they leaning into, including like ill health, etc. We see this with that group of people, but also elsewhere. And I encourage you to think to notice this whenever you're consuming media. What stereotypes are the producers relying on to create a storyline? All right. Um, let's keep moving. There's bias processing of social information as well. I think I covered that in the last two bullet points. I'm gonna take a break here. My mom's calling again.